Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gentle Chaos. Good morning to all that is going to join us and that has joined us. Get this going. Today, I'm having on with me. This was just out of the blue. We didn't really talk about it. We just said, let's sort of do it. And it's a brother that I met. I found him on YouTube a while back, probably 6 or 7 months ago. It was whenever you did one of your very first videos that I seen, and it was because you put a comment in someone else's video. I read your comment and I commented back on it, and then I started following you from there on, and then here we sit right here. So it's a pretty cool experience to be. I'm attempting to find it on YouTube right now, and it's not working. So I know we're going live right now, and anyone that shows up, I apologize because I'm still just definitely learning this stuff. I will. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find this real quick, brother. Why don't you introduce yourself? This gentleman has a lot of beautiful ideas. He is a co-creator of some of the high. He's got a lot of great ideas, art, just beautiful stuff comes out of him. And I've been watching him, and he's definitely improved my life just by hearing and then using that in my own experience. And that's really the teacher for us, or for me, is my experience. And in my experience, I've listened to some of the ideas, some of the stuff that he was offering up, and I definitely can attest to it being from not only a genuine place, a place that sort of works for the greater good of humanity. And when I talk to him, we spend a number of hours on his computer in the short time that we've known each other. And when I talk to him for hours on end, there's such a connection. And this is the crucial part in this unfoldment that we're walking into, is we have to clearly start communicating. And right now we're practicing it. I'm practicing it going live on YouTube. Like, I'm practicing for whatever it is I'm going to be tomorrow, and then whatever I'm going to be the next day. So I would just encourage you to follow him, take a look at some of the stuff he has, and use it in your own life, and then see how it works for you. So, and I'm with no further ado, I'll let him introduce himself. And yeah, it's all you, brother. Hey, it's all you. If you would introduce yourself and just give it how it is. Give what you got. Give what's coming.
Okay, if you hear me, I call myself, I go by Osan. You can also call me Joseph if you insist. And by Osan I feel comfortable with. I can also say that I'm originally from Israel. I'm a war veteran, army veteran. I've been in a few wars in the army, not as a soldier really, but I think that it's important to mention, because eventually, after experiencing that kind of shit for enough time and looking at the society that is here in this country, I realized that there is no enough support. The people are not getting spiritual support. They're not getting spiritual support of any kind. And what happened to me when I went down this hole far enough, eventually one day when I was about 27, I became something that I can call something like a Buddhist master became out of me. I turned in 1 year to become a Buddhist master. And by then I already was introduced to Christ. Christ came into my heart, so that was the basis of it. Christ is an old family member of mine, and when I became about 27, 28, when I was that age, I became a teacher. I was not teaching to everybody. I just was sitting with, crossed legs, and I behaved. I was very calm because I was living in presence from them. So that was 40 years ago. And since then, I've gone through a lot of, changes and upgrades, what I call existential nature. So, so I went through many things. I'm a painter in profession. My original tribe, my clan, my spiritual clan is of the painters, of the older painters. So I can speak also on their behalf if necessary. I know all of them in person. And the point that I was, so this is, what I can say about myself. I lived 8 years in the United States, so I'm feeling American to a point that I'm not scared and I'm not ashamed to talk to an American like brother and sisters.
Also fluent in Spanish.
I'm fluent with Spanish. If anybody, si alguien quiere hablar español conmigo, you're welcome to speak Spanish with me if you like. So yes, so if you want me, I can present the subject that we spoke a little bit, and I wanted to expand from that point.
I would like to just quickly, because we spoke about we talked a little bit about we shared similar experiences with when I shared with you my experience with Jesus the Christ and how he showed up in my life, and with that the Buddha has also showed up in even my father has shown up in times where he spoke to me in ways that improved the experience that I was having. So specifically, because we do live, living in the United States, it is a Jesus Christ or Christianity, not or Christianity. Christianity is one of the main religions that is practiced here, and so there's a lot of different experiences that people have with Jesus coming into their life, whether it's through church or however the case may be. So would you just expound a little bit or add a little bit on with that experience you had? Because I think it's such a powerful one that that this interaction with Jesus the Christ, it almost encompassed all. It wasn't trapped in one little box called Christianity. But your experience with Jesus was more of a universal experience that wasn't confined by that box. So just share a little bit about your experience when you said Jesus come into your life, like what that was like for you and what type of teachings or lessons did he bring with him that, because to me, when I look at Jesus's teachings or the Buddha or any great teacher from the past, none of them are talking about dividing. None of them are talking about, they're all talking about inclusion or bringing people together. None of them were talking about, well, because they are a different color or they look this or they look that they're out. But all of these teachers had a beautiful message, and it was one of including all. So will you just share a little bit about that experience, because it was powerful when I heard it.
Yeah, well, I'm not Christian, and I don't take the person that you call Christ or anybody call Christ as Christ. I don't define him by the fact of crucifixion.
Right.
For me, it's Yeshua. Yeshua in Hebrew, it means salvation. That's what it is.
Beautiful.
So he created him the salvation, not the crucifixion.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, the most important message that I get from him is you must come to the kingdom of heaven. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it is not so much the story, although you want to be impressed by the story and every word that he said, if some of it came through all this, filters, which by there were printed in the books and edited and so on, if some of it comes in, it's the freedom. The Christ said the freedom of being in the kingdom of heaven, which He invites us to the freedom to that kingdom. So,
And what is, from your experience, where and what is this thing, the kingdom of heaven? Is that something that can be experienced on this, in this experience we're having, or is it something that shows up once we leave here? This kingdom of heaven you speak of, what is your experience of what that is? Because I think, from my experience, I'm seeing so many get caught up in is the kingdom of heaven.
I tell you the ladder to go up, because heaven is above. It's supposed to be above us. So the way to go up is by perspective. You can go on an airplane and you can see the earth and you have a perspective, and you can look at the field of business and you can learn about business. So then when you see business, you have a perspective about business. So everything you gain perspective upon, so that you rose in a sense. In a sense, you rose above the circumstances, and you're looking through an idea of a whole field within this or that something happened, or this or that something exists. So the field of knowledge that you gather, that you expand upon anything, gives you height.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at a moral situation on earth, from a perspective of how this morality was educated, that was brought to you, all the big you call it machine of propaganda that is introducing this to you, you will know more about it than you knew before. So then you will look at the message of Jesus through all these filters that has been put through the time, and you check on each filter to find out what distortion it caused.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
So the rising to heaven is by expanding your perspective about everything. That is the definition of rising to heaven as well. If you want to rise to heaven, the greater perspective you have, once you have a perspective, then a greater perspective on the previous perspective that you had. And every time you go with the internet, for example, with computers, everybody that works with computers know there is a sense of hierarchy in the computer.
Right.
Then you have, for example, you have my documents, and in my documents, you have my video, and in my video, you have so many things, all the videos that you had, So
right.
Now the way to retrieve yourself within all this information that you've gathered is to drop out the hierarchy. That now you had so much information gathered about anything, about Christ, about the situation here, about the new technology that is going on, everything that is brought up to you, an impression from your wife that is there, or from your cat, everything, when you traverse back to you, you can arrange it in other way than in hierarchy. You don't need a hierarchy.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so I wanted to give an example, a physical example from modern physics to help to sustain this idea, right? Where the center of consciousness of this planet is in the central sun. There's a central sun that is in the middle of this earth. There's a space where the sun is located, and this earth, this sun, which is in the center of the earth, is the north. In fifth dimension, the south is the sun, and we are all north. We are all directions. Okay, if the north made in the compass was made to show you the north, right? So each of us are north. Every point on this planet is a north. This is not hierarchical. Nobody is sitting on somebody else's shoulders. We are all individual. Every tree, every human, we are relating to the central sun. Yeah? The same So, and the energy of our life, it comes from relation from with the central sun. The central sun, it makes everybody here our conscience. It directly relates to our conscience. So, in the same way that if you see the earth is in fact endless spots of consciousnesses that each of them relate to the central sun, then there's no hierarchy, you know. If you take this and you apply it to all the information that you get, right? You have to look at from your perspective to every information that you get and to grow a perspective to understand how you attend this information, because the attention, the way that you attend this information is crucial for everybody. It's not the information by itself.
Right. Absolutely. And I would just like to put it, it's almost saying the same thing in different words. And I like to do this because I know there was teachers that attempted in school to teach me the same thing. And just because the one teacher would know to switch up a couple of the words, it helped me to understand what these two teachers were saying, because this one teacher could take this idea and flip it on its head and present it in another way. This teacher was a huge benefit to me in my life, because I learned right then and there that that actually if someone could present it a little differently, that I could actually understand what was being said when I wouldn't understand the first time. And so I would just like to say that, you know, when you speak about like heaven being up there, or the kingdom is up there, you know, is, in other words, would you also say, because, you know, the words and the labels that we use, they're not important, and then they are important. You know, it's like they're not important because they're just labels. We all assign different meanings to them. And then they're very important because when me and you communicate with each other, if you have assigned a different meaning to a word than me, and we start talking about that, then there can be something that shows up right there. And if I'm not open, or you're not open to whatever it is that's showing up, then I can get trapped in my emotions. I can get trapped in thought. And when I'm trapped in that type of stuff, that's where I don't necessarily grow from. So another way of putting it is, you know, the energy or a vibration, because our vibration is, it is lower, and it's coming to a higher point, a higher reverence, a higher frequency. And so would you also say that going up was that actual vibration itself that's lifting?
Well, the thing is, it's not the vibration. People allude to vibrations, you know. It's not a point of vibration, and it's not a point of comparison. If you met a teacher and he taught you something and you earned something and you had understanding about it, then you met another teacher who tells you another thing, you know. If you see all of that, you allow all of that in a field of consciousness that is free. There's enough space in your consciousness to contain all of them. And if you try to omit any of this, you won't be able to omit, because you already related to it when you heard about it. So I wanted to
preconceived notion. I've already got a preconceived notion of what this is. So when it shows up, then it already has stuff on it that I have put on it myself that will almost keep me from understanding it, because I've already assigned something to it, or the filters.
Yeah, the thing is that you assign attributes and character to everything, and everything is allowed. It is not in competition with everything. Everything exists here on equally, you know.
Yeah, cooperation. Yeah. More cooperation.
People have to, you know, let go of the need to compare. If, you know, if I said something and somebody else said completely the opposite, it's all right. You know, it exists in your field of consciousness. You are, this is your domain to take everything as you like, to attribute other things to it, to add clouds to it, to add your understanding, to add your experience to it. You know, it's all allowed. So there's no competition. There's no problem between knowing this or knowing this or knowing that. Just your sense of self-awareness must be expanded to where there's no hierarchy, there's no level of who understood. Yeah, some of them, they understood, in your opinion, better than others, so you praise them, you make them more important. That's natural, but all of them exist, and you give them permission to exist.
Yeah.
Now, so I wanted to touch upon something that you showed. We were talking about something that you had in your house, something, and there are so many things that are in the house. For example, you have a comb with which you brush your hair, and you have a comb it rise up all kind of metaphors that connects to the comb. Maybe, I don't know, for each one is different a little bit. But take something different. Take a knife. Now, I want to suggest that every element that you have in this environment, a lot of stuff is attached to it. A knife can do a lot of things. So when somebody sees a gun or a knife, all this field of information that applies to it, how it was used, how it can be used, derives into your attention, and you will think, oh, what happened here? The knife is dangerous. Yes, the knife can be dangerous. But people must understand that this is their field of consciousness. This is wrapping. This is the education that they got. This is the experience that they saw in movies, in the kitchen. When they cut a piece of something, the knife can do it. So when you have a knife, when you see a knife, all this field of information comes together with a knife. It's a feeling. So you must be aware that it's not that you're going to take the knife and do something bad with it, and you're not going to use, but the field of information comes together with it.
Absolutely. So to attempt to simplify it, and please jump in if I'm off base. These things that come attached to this comb, these attachments or whatever experience that I had that leads me to believe that this is what a comb is. And I shared earlier about a comb. This is where the comb came from, and this is that a young boy that done something that his father didn't agree with. If he was ever hit with this comb, he has a totally different perspective and a totally different meaning that he may assign to this comb because of the experience that he's been through with it. And with that said, it will change an outcome, but it's coming from a place of the filters that you speak of. So it's only because he's seeing it through these filters that it will be that. And what you're saying, and what I'm also suggesting, in other words, is that just because I might have been hit with this comb, it doesn't mean that I cannot enjoy this comb for the rest of my experience brushing my hair, because every time that I comb my hair with it, I'm grateful that I have this comb. So, and it's my choice when it comes down to it. It's my choice whether to move through that when I was young. My dad hit me with it, and come into adulthood and go, hey, you know what? Yes, I was hit with a comb, and now I comb my hair with it, and I love a comb. It's all really a choice, and it's in that choice that we make is really what leads us to either grow or decay. So if I choose to fear that comb, then stuff that shows up in my life around combs, every time I see a comb, I have the potential of feeling that fear, the same fear that I felt the day when my dad was popping my butt with it. Or I could be responsible.
It is in each, you can say that it's each one memory, in each one's field of, I call it clouding. You have something and you cloud it, that is the field of affiliation, what you think together with the calm, what people would think, is wrapping this experience, or that the idea of relationship. When you meet somebody, if you apply the field that is already existing there, you must be aware that you are doing it because it's your own domain. And when you know it is on your domain, you change you become attached from it. You don't treat it the way you treated before. And this is the most important lesson. If you want to rise higher, to have a new perspective, this is the higher perspective, that you allow yourself to choose what to do with the calm, what to do with the knife, what to do with the information, what to do with a piece of information about the blue avians or the, yeah, whatever they call them, when it is your impression that counts and not the further information that you're going to bring you. But because what happens now is people waiting upon the information to reveal more that is so important for them, which is not. You know, what is important for you is to organize, you know, to set your mind of what your perspective, what it is that there is really benefiting you from this knowledge. Let's say about the blue sphere, the giant spheres, okay? So I wanted to touch upon the giant spheres. They say there's thousands of giant spheres that are circulating and they are protecting us, you know? It's very nice to feel that you are protected. You can feel protected by all kinds of things. And a blue giant sphere is a great idea. But what I captured from it is a sense of a sphere. Because if I took the field of information, instead of organizing it in ways that I am in debt to the various application of Calm, or I was now waiting for how to apply, how to relate to those beings, you know, sphere beings, you know, the only thing that catches my attention is the fact that there are spheres. Why are there spheres? I suggest that there are spheres because they take the field of information, instead of hierarchical order, they organize them as a sphere. So you have every piece of information. If you allow yourself to imagine this, you have all the information, all these pieces of information with their clouding. Wherever you go anywhere, there's a new center. Like if you went to some area, there is an immediately field of information gathered around it, so you can handle it further and further. Yeah. So you have sphere within spheres. You have sphere within. You have more spheres. You know? So, yeah. So what I wanted to take from this idea of giant spheres that are circulating is the idea of a sphere. Yeah. Instead of the traditional information, how it's given to us. So everything is a point in a sphere if you allow it. So that will be a great change in your perspective, you know, and that it will be more to the direction of the heavenly, of the heaven, that you arrive to the heaven. To the heaven is the ability to become in heaven. That means to be conscious that you are a sphere and you live in a sphere and you live among other spheres that are around you, and every piece of information that they have or you have can relate to their field of information in this or another. So more spheres are created, and every time we relate to each other, like Dave and I are talking, you are joined this conversation, so there is a further sphere is created while we are attending this meeting, and would continue, because you cannot really, it's not a computer. In a computer you have this illusory button that say cancel. We cannot cancel anything. Even we cannot cancel the cancel. The cancellation was done, you know.
So, I have someone right here that just mentioned. I just want to acknowledge a few people that are in here because they're writers, and they are definitely they're forward thinkers. They're very caring people, and it's Jamie and Ghost. I think that's the only two in here right now. So welcome, you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. Jamie said in the chat. He says the sphere, I'll read it exactly how it reads, but the sphere is also a torus and a Merkaba. Depends on how you look at it. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, the Merkaba is two things. There is one static Merkaba, one is active Merkaba. The one that people are already, you know, acquainted with is the solid, the steady Merkaba. The steady Merkaba you can draw with all kind of triangles, and you will have a sense in the sphere as if the sphere can be seen or can be arranged or can be understood as a Merkaba. Merkaba, it means in Hebrew constellation. That's what it means. In Hebrew, I'm Hebrew, so you can count on me. Yeah. But it also means an action of putting things together, of arranging things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So when you take the Merkaba as an active, this is a fifth dimension Merkaba. It's not a static Merkaba. That is if you do something and then, like you took a cat as an action, and now you are treating the cat, you get to know the cat. There's another step. Now you feed the cat. There's another step. Now you get contact with cat telepathically. You know what he thinks. He knows what you feel. There's another step. So in every true action in life, when you want to achieve something, you will do something, and then you figure out what is right to do next, what to do next, and what to do next. This is applying, reality, applicable reality, in which you create a lot of things, a reality for yourself eventually. So this is a Merkaba. This is a Merkaba in fifth dimension. So yeah, so that's
So,
what I.
so the fifth dimension in the Merkaba that previously is experienced by others is the one of the third dimension, correct? And now we're dealing with the fifth dimension Merkaba, and that's in play now, or am I?
Yeah, if you want to define the Merkaba for the dimensions, I can add for Jamie. Hello, Jamie. Nice to meet you. I say Merkaba. It is in the third dimension. Is where you see, for example, a drawing of a molecule. When you see a drawing of a molecule that describes the structure of water, say H2O of water, this is a third dimension symbolism of the structure of this molecule. Then if you took it to the fourth dimension, that is how to make tea. That is, you take this water and you put it to what you do with it. So the fourth dimension is where you achieve things using a third dimension item. You have all kinds of things and you rate them. Why? Because you have a plan. You have a registered, a known plan. You have a drawable. You can draw the plan how to make this or that, and you will arrive to what people want. What people want in the fourth dimension, yes, it is to be better. They want to improve themselves, so they are thinking about how shall I improve myself? I'll open a business. I'll become to that point. I will, juggle in my body. I'll become a better body. I will do this, all this. I will make a country. I will make a religion, and everybody bow to this symbol, making symbols, all the action within the fourth dimension is to achieve something that is a dream that you want to achieve in the fourth dimension, that is very vast field of actually eventually manipulation, because when you look at it in the end, you see that you have not arrived to anywhere. With this level of mind of the fourth dimension, you'll go in a circle. You will try again and again and again and again until you drop the fourth dimension altogether. That is, you're not going to any specific aim that you had thought to arrive. The fourth dimension is making an aim for which all these elements would be used. So then
another word I'll just say, because Jamie said he shared this, and I feel that these are the same words, and that is aim and intention. So right. An aim or an intention on something, I feel is it's the same thing, and it's said two different ways, because an aim and an intention, they really fit as one to me. And so Jamie said that he also shared that that he followed you, and thank you. Yeah, he said you too. Thank you. I started following you. So thank you, Jamie, for joining us, brother, and I appreciate. I appreciate everything you're talking about. We talk all the time. So, and my brother here, we've met. I reached out to him, and the first day we met was such a beautiful conversation. Just sharing ideas. I think that's what is so powerful about what we're going through right now is I'm coming to find that my communication, it definitely needs practice. And so what better way to practice than to be on the computer or be in front of someone in real life, talking about this type of stuff, these type of ideas, because someone that may have never lived from a spiritual perspective, that may have just been sort of lived their whole life top layer of their skin, never went inside and take a look at what's in there. A lot of these words will just totally miss them. And I would like to just encourage anyone out there that watches this, that if there is some type of lack of understanding, I know that I'm not attempting to tell anybody, like, we're each having an experience here. And I think we have a common goal, and that common goal is to continue on some way and to make this world a better place in some way, shape, or form. Because for me, that's what calls to me. My purpose is found. I found it in my past, and so now I find that what I'm doing was absolutely nothing that I seen myself doing a year ago or 2 years ago. And then with that said, I know that I'm here doing it because I'm meant to be here doing it. And that's not to say purpose cannot change, because I think it's an evolving thing depending on the demand for it to evolve. And so so these words that are being thrown out, if you don't understand them, I encourage you to write them down, take a look at them, and just start playing with some ideas of what these words may mean to you, because you're going to assign a meaning to them. And moving forward, if we can assign some meanings and at least talk about what meanings that we assign to any of this stuff, I don't think it's creating a hierarchy. It's just attempting to communicate and have, for me, it's a better understanding. It's about that understanding comes from being open to anything that individuals are talking about. And so I encourage anybody, if you don't understand it, don't necessarily judge it, don't dismiss it. Rather, take a look at it and search this on your own, because I know that I'm not sitting here telling you that I have your answers. And I will tell you this: don't just take what I say or what anybody on YouTube says or what anybody in this world says for your truth. Know this stuff for yourself. It's the most important thing, is to go on a journey. And the journey is not necessarily listening to what someone says and then calling it my truth when I don't actually see it as a truth. So I encourage people to get on there, take a look at the words we're using, and then allow them to work in your life how they will. And if you stay open to it, I think that it will definitely benefit you. It's benefited me in many ways to ask the questions, and I think that's the point we're in. It's like we're not on here for no reason. I'm not getting on here because my paid dirt is right here in being in front of this and just being able to experience another perspective. Not only another perspective, a perspective that lives in a totally different place, that has a totally that this place has ideas. That people were born here, raised there, and there's just different ideas. So when I'm able to stay open to my brother's perspective, there's many great gifts come from that. And there's some stuff that shows up that I question, and them questions are for me, and so that's how I grow. I just wanted to say that, and yeah, please continue with what you were speaking about.
Yeah, okay, so I wanted to define the evolution or growth in fifth dimension, which is not a big difference, in fact, from the fourth dimension. Only in the fifth dimension, you don't put the aim in front of you when you do something.
Or intention. Aim. Would you say aim and intention is the same thing? When you say aim, you mean like an intention?
Any intention you do, you express this intention momentarily. On the point, you put it on the table. I tell you what I tell you, and you tell me what you tell me. And everybody is thinking what they're thinking. Yeah, everything that happens at this moment. This is the most effective. Eventually, on the big frame, it's not that you will look for the eventual to happen in your mind or to happen immediately, to happen tomorrow. You just allow yourself, like younger people. Say young people that just stop their mind and say, I say this, you say that, and allow your intentions to get out of you and to be exposed and be registered, and not with the whole perspective, just to believe that all the perspective is existing. It exists in your life. You are that bigger perspective, so you feel free, like you feel in the world. You will say this and you will do this. The world will be a place. It will stay a place. The same applies to your aura. The same applies to your fifth dimensional self. The fifth dimensional self is by definition the sixth dimension. The sixth dimension is where an awakened being who is active, in the fifth dimension, that he is throwing his intentions out and allow them to roll out just freely. When he comes to self-realization, that he is active and he is existing on that level of creation, he arrives to the sixth dimension. The sixth dimension is a solid self determination, the solid self acknowledgement.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. And
where does this sixth dimension being who is active in the fifth dimension, where does he reside? In this world, he resides everywhere that he is touching. His legs is touching the ground, and his hands are holding to something, that you develop acquaintance and relationship with this place or this meta. This is the earth that you continue to develop. If you have a relationship with somebody and you added something to the relationship and they added something back to the relationship grew, the relationship group, and that's what we want. We want our relationship to grow, our communication to grow in ways that are beyond the common language, outside of the common understanding, or what they imposed on us, that we'll understand it like this or like that. So we just express ourselves. We just feel free to to develop, and that's how we grow. We go like a tree. It's a new leaf and a new leaf and a new leaf. Eventually there'll be fruit, but we don't take off the fruit from the tree before it arrives to maturity.
Right, absolutely. It's almost like that.
Yeah, and it's not my personal maturity is a maturity of us as a community, that we know that we live in a shared field, and everything that we contribute to this field, we don't have to calculate it. Calculating where it's going is the fourth dimension. In the fifth dimension, we just give it. You give to the common field, and the other give to the common field, and that's how our common consciousness is growing. That's why it's this the main reason why I'm looking for friends like you and for other friends to enlarge our field of human communication, because the communication is something that rolls in the fifth dimension actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and it's very powerful put like that, because in essence, what I thought I heard you say, and what my understanding has come to, is that everything that I do put into this, it is what I do in this world. It affects others. It affects others. Now, in the big picture of things, they're going to choose how it affects them. In the small picture, which is also a big picture, is that I have a responsibility now. I have a responsibility now that's much deeper in this experience that I'm having, to do something whenever I'm doing, to always ask, is this going to benefit? Is this a benefit for the greater good of all? And if it isn't, if there's something that shows up that says, oh, it might not benefit them, then I ask what it is that I'm really looking at. Because ultimately, any good or bad thing that I do has the ability of affecting others. And so if I'm going to be responsible, I will live from a place of non-reaction, a place of to come to know thyself is only merely, for me, it was to learn. I learned that the mind wasn't who I was or what I was. And when I learned that, very quickly what came was that the feelings or the emotions was not what I was. I wasn't that either. And so it allowed me to respond in conversations like this, to respond to something, even though it may look different from the perspective that's giving it. a lot of times when I will respond to it, if I will just stay open long enough, I find out why it looks so different. And then I really find out that it's really close to actually what I was saying anyway. And it was just a matter of staying open to this idea. And so the communication part of it is, I think that's key for us right now, because there is so many, and I was included, and there's still times where I do get caught up in my emotions when we're dealing with, and I wanted to ask you a question about this here in a minute, and that's Pizzagate. And Pizzagate's a word, and this word has so many different meanings attached to it that, some have come to find that it's a truth in this reality that they live in. And then some, they think it's just all baloney. And so for me, and because there's a lot of individuals on here now, there's Jamie, which thank you, brother, for being here. He is also, that's where I met him. I met him in the Pizzagate community. And I've met a lot of beautiful people in this community. And so because you've done some looking into this, and I know you wrote, I seen you wrote something that was posted. I don't have it right here, but I know you wrote something, and I think that it was your way of saying, it was not your way of saying goodbye to it, but your way of stepping forward into what you're really here for. I know I'm not really here for Pizzagate. My purpose is not necessarily Pizzagate. Before that, I started meditation. I was leading meditation groups. And so I know that my job first and foremost here is just to take care of myself. Self-care is very important, especially in a world where there is so many mind viruses that can travel from person to person. To take care of myself and to stay on top of myself is going to help me be a benefit for others. It's just a natural process. And so I sort of got lost in that. And please expound on anything that you feel is important. And then I would like to just ask you your thoughts on Pizzagate. I know you looked at it and we've spoke about it a little bit. And I'd just like to get your thoughts, because for me, Pizzagate is something that's here, and it's here for us to grow from. It's like the growing pains, like the suffering that comes from this thing is can crack them shells quickly. And so please expound on anything that I may have that you want to share on what we were talking about before, and then talk a little bit about your experience with Pizzagate and the vision you hold for it, and what it is, why is it here for humanity? What is it here for us to sort of look at and do from it?
Okay, so first of all, I've been involved with Pizzagate, with the fact of abducting children, and for like a few years, and I was very bothered by it, like you were. So yeah, and I looked at the faces of the people, Kevin Annett and Tori Smith and other who talked about it widely, and as my discipline applies, which I said before, I took it to myself and I asked myself, what is this Pizzagate means for me?
Yeah.
And the Pizzagate is what you call a behavior disorder. Yeah. This is behavior disorder, which comes from something that we all suffer from. All of us suffer to a certain extent from this disturbance, because when we grow up, our sexual maturity, when we come to sexual stuff, that is when we are, say, 7, 8, 9, 10, depends on each one, what happens is that we are not taught to advance along what's called tantric evolution, or what you call it, the evolution of your body is tempered because you're not conscious with it. So you grow unconsciously. Sexually, we are growing unconscious to what is really happening with us. And in this period, what happens eventually, that people become so attracted because there's so much attraction in sexuality that they will do something will make them leap into full participation in sexual activity before they are ready. And this brings a body, a cellular body, to interact, to be exposed to stuff that is not taught to deal with. It deals with it on a physical level, where people are wanting sex, they want to have intercourse, they want to have this fun, they want to have this enjoyment, and they will go any way at all to obtain it. And that what happens. This what happens to many people, including myself. So it's not waiting for maturity, to overall maturity of our body and our emotion and so forth, because we are not educated, we're not growing in a surrounding, and we never grew. It's not that we lost it anywhere along the line. We never had the education that includes all our body functions. It was denied, in school. They were teaching us all kind of crap, but we were not teaching us this.
Absolutely.
So but I want to expand a little bit on a physical, on a cellular level, because...
Would you touch also the point with the intercourse?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. So intercourse, what happens is that your whole cellular body is craving for this, because communication with another is, as I said, is the highest form, is higher above our best individual potentialities, as when we do something very intimate with another. So this is very trapping, it's a temptation, that will put our cellular body in a shock, in a state of shock. That intercourse, in the first intercourse for women and for men, it's a complete disaster. Is basically, in 99% of the cases, is a sort of a rape, where the women rape the men or the men rape the woman. It's not the matter. They both are unconscious of what's going on. So to help ourselves to retrieve to the level, to the stage of being our cellular body, to the age where we started to be acquainted with this temptation,
Yeah.
This is the level of cellular body behavior that we have to come back to, in order to recover our growth, because our growth was interrupted. Now, the people of Pizzagate, what happened to them, that they grew in a society that have solved this problem of craving, of temptation. They solve it in the way that we see that they have solved it. They took children, because our children are much easier to submit to your desires. You can take children and do with them what you want physically. So now they say that the children also enjoy it, or the children need it, or this is the nature of our life, where it's just a problem that's maintained as a distraction that took over the person. He couldn't grow beyond a certain limit, and now he made it his disturbance, is a limited level of cellular development. He made it into a life, a style of life, where they take children and they do whatever they do with them, as we know. Another level of it is the extraterrestrial business with children.
Yeah.
They are buying children, they are buying bodies of children, they are buying humans, they are buying materials made of humans to produce all kind of, you call it hormones, use all kind of materials to then use it for their industry, and they have it also on Earth. They produce food, and they produce medicine, they produce all kind of enhancement. Even a shampoo for the hair will have human organs in it, and the sky is full with nanoparticles. And in fact, in the chemtrails, I heard there is I call it grounded dust of human bones. So
Really?
we breathe human
There's another
bones in.
point that you must touch, which is the problem with all the people who get cut or not.
No, I'm
No?
not going. This is
Okay.
the Jewish stuff. The Jewish tradition, they cut part of your penis, you know, to
Yeah.
to make you part of their system. They tell you now we cut part of you, which the part is to say that we control your sexual behavior. We limit you like they control our food. They will put poison in our food. So this is a separate idea with the circumcising, you know, that relates to it. But
So you
yeah,
would say that also it's really a power tactic that because when I look at what's going on with Pizzagate and I can feel inside of myself when I see some of these stories that are happening, like I can actually feel I can feel me lower. So when I look at it, it's like I started to understand that these individuals that were going into politics, they weren't necessarily all child molesters. But what I was starting to see was, and this is what I got from Kay Griggs, which I would recommend. She does a 10-hour interview, and I put something, I think it's a pinned tweet on my Twitter, and it's about a 15-minute interview with her, and she speaks. This lady was a general she was married to a general in the Navy, some higher up guy. And what she speaks of is, she tells us in that pinned tweet on Twitter, what she says is this, that they are literally like you cannot rise above a certain spot in this military until what you do, it's a thing called shell backing. And shell backing is when your superior officer, actually they'll get the guys all drunk, and your superior officer or superior officers will shell back you, or it is anal sex. And so I'm seeing that in our military. I'm seeing that in the rap industry right now, what is going on in the music industry. Like these guys, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. This was he's one of the most famous rappers there is. Like he is the one that's signing the contracts now. And from what I've looked at, the shell backing is happening in all of these different parts of the system we live in, these different systems, and it's used of sort of a way to keep the power in the hands of the individuals that know a lot more that's going on than I do, that run this thing.
yeah. I tell you one thing that is. I want to tell a small story shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, in Israel, people hear about Palestinians, but in fact, the Palestinian problem. But in fact, Palestinians and Israelis, many Israelis connect to Palestinians. We are friends. There's no war between us whatsoever. And I met one Palestinian. His name I will not say now. He was Christian. Many Palestinians are Christian. He's from area of Nazareth. And his father sent him to the Vatican and to learn in the school, the Vatican, to become a priest. And when he was 8 or 9, he already was raped by a few bishops together. So
Yeah.
he became a whore. He managed to escape. His father took him back. He took him until he was 18 to gather enough courage to tell his father. So father brought him back home. But home he became a prostitute for men. So he told me his story. So I'm just passing it on. It exists in a Catholic church. Every child that comes to learn in a Catholic church, I met more children that are brought in Catholic church, and they all become homosexuals. And they force them into it.
Right. Absolutely, brother. I just from
It also exists in rabbis. I have friends. My friend grandchildren, they learned in one of the most sacred Jewish education areas, and they're all been raped or tried to attempted rape by the rabbis.
by the individuals that is supposed to be teaching them these spiritual tools that society doesn't teach, and then we have these religions that are formed that are actually they say they're there to teach these tools, and in reality, what I'm not only starting to see, but it's becoming very clear that these institutions are not necessarily for our good, rather the very opposite of that. And then not to use good and bad, because it's all an experience, and we're going to choose what we do with it. That's not to say that when a child gets raped at a very young age, that a lot of times they turn into this individual when they get older. Why is that? I don't know. The psychology of it is, I'm just merely going off my experience, and it's saying that the people that are supposed to be teaching us these spiritual tools to navigate these waters, these uncharted waters that I feel like I'm walking in, like the very teachers are the ones that are committing these heinous acts. And what they're doing is they are keeping, to a degree, they're keeping this very low, so we stay in this world that they created.
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is not because we are not maybe we are not in a position to change the politics and the structure of the education and so forth, and maybe one of us is. Those who are connected to it, they are maybe in different positions than myself. But my position is that I meet people who've been hurt and they're completely ruined in many ways by the education. And when I meet them in person, first of all, I have to know that it happened to them. I have to define them, and I have to discern them, and I have to put them in a category. And I'm suggesting to everybody to allow themselves with their organization of their field of consciousness to also create titles and definition for every group. So, but there is a group of people, a large group in Israel, a larger group in the United States, as this education is taking more power, people, children that have been subject to this, and we meet them in a personal relationship, and they are completely ruined. They don't have any capacity to focus on another as a person. They don't have this capacity to relate to another in a genuine way, and they cannot love anybody. They don't know what love is, because love is a higher level than this, because their cellular body was put under this oppression, and it is now subject to torture. Actually, they live in torture, inside torture, because they copied it, and now they are torturing themselves. They're taking it. They cannot tell the difference between them and their oppressors. They are part of this oppressive society now, and now they're oppressing you and they're oppressing me, because when I meet them and they give me this treatment that they learned about in school, that they give to me, and I have to define them. I have to discern what their situation is, and to decide if I can help them or not help them. And in most cases, to my unfortunate, I cannot help anybody. People have to have enough openness to a perspective about this, to be able to heal themselves. If they don't, the best thing that I can do is just separate from them. And and what happens is,
when you separate, when you say that, separate from them, I would just like to add in, because just from talking to you for a little while, I can tell your care for life in general, not necessarily any life over another, and just how you speak about the hierarchical and how we, it doesn't really benefit us to create the system of this hierarchy where one is any higher than the other. It's almost like we're walking hand in hand, and some may be in front and some may be in back, but I don't see it as a vertical thing. I see it more as a horizontal. It ends up being a vertical thing in some way, shape, or form. Walking side by side, some a little forward and a little back, as long as we hold on to each other's hands, we'll continue walking wherever we're walking into. What I wanted to say about that, and then Jamie he just had a question for you that I feel is, we've spoke about it before, and that is a meditation. He asked, do you have a meditation practice? And just to share a little bit about what that is to you and what it means, and how you use it in your life.
Okay, I was just about this subject more or less, when I wanted to relate this knowledge about pathogates or about any other thing to our cellular body. The conscience, the cellular conscience, is where our cellular body is completely shattered because there we have suffered so much trauma. In this regard, sexually is the most important, I think, because the greatest craving, the greatest temptation, the greatest reason for people to hang around is to look for somebody that they can, intimately relate to, and this was greatly disrupted by this behavior where you were raped when you were young, So it is a shock for the cellular body. Now, coming back to meditation on the best, one of the best levels you can reach is connect to the cellular body. That is, your cellular body is in shock. The cellular body is in shock that it even doesn't believe that it can grow beyond the limitation, And this shock appears in the cellular body in a way like when you encountered with this information, your cellular body, will feel pain. You feel pain, and the solution for this pain, is to see deeper into this pain, to where your cellular body will start to shake of pain. A cellular body will be so much in pain, that you will feel it all over your body. This happening, what is happening with Pizzagate or things like this, with war, with nuclear war, all this devastating the cellular level to an effect where your cellular level, when you come back to it and you concentrate on these things, you really meditate on the things, what happens is your cellular level comes back to life, and he reacts by immediately in most cases, developing your light body. Your light body, it you can relate to your light body going through this cellular level sensation, to where the effect will be that you get what I experience as vertigo. That is, like you say, you feel down because you fell, and the cellular, but when you retrieve your light body, what happens is that you start to feel unbalanced, because you never balance your body within your light body. When a person comes to a higher level of consciousness, higher level of meditation, concentration, caring for these atrocities, when you suffered enough, your cellular body becomes alive again, and the way that it comes to life is retrieving your light body. So in this light body, you will feel unsafe and unbalanced. So many people that have gone through this breaking through to beyond themselves, they feel many times unbalanced. They're not sure of what they say, if they stand in the right place, because there's no any particular place that you're standing in, just standing out there in space. So to be able to contain this experience, if I'm made myself clear, is to be able to concentrate, to hold your body steady in this open light body, not to shake in your body, but in the light body, but to be steady, to be fixed. And this you can do by concentrating on the side of your head. If you ask the archangels, they will help you to balance your head. So when these thoughts come into you with this atrocity, when this, stress, come onto you, when this oppression of sexual oppression, this is the general sexual oppression that is happening here with the religion, with all this education that they have here, with the behavior, with different people, you feel this, you are closed up, you cannot never express, you cannot allow your cellular body to grow up again. So to allow it to grow, first of all, the light body opens up like a flower, and then you have to learn to balance yourself in the light body as a physical being. You balance your cellular structure, everything, every cell of your body now is concentrated to holding still in this light body that you are. You know, this is when you look at your disturbances, you say, oh, this shocked me. When you look at this shocking on a cellular level, you know, you will see how your cells have been shocked, you know, and you still hope to keep them steady. I keep my head steady. I keep my body completely steady in front of this enormous, you know, disruption that they put on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just keeping myself balanced, and I'm sharing this balance with everybody that is watching me.
Yeah, there's stuff going on in the chat that I would just like to acknowledge. Welcome Kitty, joined us. She's awesome. She's out doing her thing. She's
What's her name?
her name is Kitty.
Kitty.
Kitty, like kitty cat, like a cat. Kitty, and she is she's out here doing her thing. She has a non-for-profit, has a lot of good stuff going on. So welcome Kitty. And they were speaking about the balance, and you were speaking about the balance. And I guess maybe that, in my experience, that's one of the more challenging things is the balance. It's because of how chaotic this world is. And even with a sitting practice, there comes the unfoldment that's happening, you know, which is, you sort of spoke of it earlier in different words, and that is the present moment. Like, this is where this is my experience. This is the only one that I'm really having, is in these, this continuation of this unfoldment of life itself. And in every one of them moments, I have the capability of falling back into a story in my mind. And then what I'm doing when I do that is I'm writing the future. And typically, if I'm in the past, if I am attached to the past, emotionally or psychologically, then in that present moment, I am writing my future. So if I'm in the past, in the present moment, I'm in the past thinking about anything, playing in there is the potential of me writing the same exact thing, because it's actual like routes that these I don't know if they're called neutrons, the things that shoot back and forth in our noggins. They actually create physical pathways in our brain. And so where they do that, it's still very possible to recarve them. And it's just a matter of really, before I have seen anything, I first had to believe that it was even possible. So holding very close to me that it's very possible to live in a world where children can grow up and be children. I hold that vision. I hold the vision of seeing that world in the future, or I set the intention of seeing that in the future. And now I'm seeing what's going on in my reality right now. Kids are being done very, very badly, very wrongly. And it's affecting us in such a huge way. And with seeing that, I also can say this, that if I do not believe that it's possible for that to fall away, for that to be rolled up on a scroll and put in the category of it was part of our evolution or whatever the case may be, being stuck in that can continue to create for me the experience I've been experiencing, and that is a lot of sadness. That is anger shows up. Anything that any of the negative feelings that you can feel from this definitely will show up. I don't think that really goes away. There's just more of a sense of a responsibility on my behalf to address, to acknowledge. So real quickly, we have these groups on, and everyone that's in the chat room has dealt with them, I know, and it's these groups called like Heart Progress. Yeah, or another group, Nambala. So these groups that are they are promoting pedophilia, and I think that a lot of them are shills, and they're working for the agenda machine. And with that said, I feel that there are individuals out there that really think that it's okay to sleep with a 5-year-old child or a 6-year-old child, And for me, that I cannot see right now how that would ever be okay for me, because of the psychological aspect of it. And that's just my parent smacking my butt with that comb that we talked about earlier. Just that experience alone could have me traumatized, or it could have me stuck in victim's consciousness, when in reality it's there for me to jump on, learn about it for myself, and then bring what I learned to the rest of my society or the civilization that I live in. And so the balance or the meditation is what helps me do that. I know I got a little off track, but I definitely feel that it's valid, you know?
It's okay. You must trust what you said to be exactly what you needed to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I want to reflect on this.
Yeah.
The problem that we are facing is a problem of plan, because when you are getting into this sexual area, when you becoming of age to join the club of sex, what you're having is a very narrow projection about the unfolding of the story.
Mhm.
And yeah, so when you are 8, when you are 9, and you're getting into this, or 10, and you're getting into this, you already know that you have so little time to find who you really need to find, and to create the relationship, or to develop this field altogether. You will need, if you take each individual and ask them, how long do you think it will take you? Ask a boy of 8 seriously, or a girl, how long would it take for you to find who you need to find in this world? And they will look around and say, how can I find them? This boy, I don't like him. This girl, I'm not sure. And eventually you end up together with somebody that you didn't want, whether it was sex abuse or it was your choice. You chose under this limitation. So the only way to get out of this eventually, I think, is to expand your field of interaction, your field of projection, to say, let's say 500 years. You must take 1,000 years. I must take another 1,000 years, because I have to travel between the stars to find the people that I can relate to. This is my situation, I must admit. I
Yeah.
live absolutely lonely here, and I don't have any hope for anybody on this planet, to meet my cellular being in a way that will be complementary. Find people that are partly complementary, some of them more than half, that is enough, maybe for this limitation. But if I wanted to really look forward to find my soulmates, as they say, or my twin soul and so forth, you need to look at enough time, and it also applies to every project that you take. If you
Yeah.
meet somebody and you wanted to develop a project, you think seriously, and you see how long it takes to find somebody and to negotiate a relationship, and to negotiate a plan and develop the plan, along the future. You do something and you do another thing. Also applies to love, and also applies to sex. It applies everywhere, that you need a lot more time to develop. So my condition to be able to solve this problem is a very prolonged life. This is my solution to it.
Excuse me. It's a great, something you said that stuck out to me was that, sort of going through this, like when I spoke of the victim's consciousness, this place of victim that anyone can be in it. There's a lot there's a lot that walk through it. This victim's consciousness is first usually enacted or brought on, or not even accepted, really, because it's an unknowing. I think that all these programs are like a subconscious programs that one doesn't even necessarily have to know what the program is in order to know what the program is. It's worthy, like the word worthy or lovable, or any of the other numerous labels that I could say worthy. Like I didn't even feel worthy to be the son to my father in times. And that's not to sit and share and go boo-hoo me, because it was an experience that was given to me so I could grow. And so this feeling of unworthiness was something that sat in there very heavy, and where people were telling me where to go and who to talk to understand this. I find that each one of us, to look inside of yourself is going to be the greatest gift that one can give themselves. Because until I consciously recognized what I'll call God or spirit or any of the other many names that we have for it, it was only in that experience that told me that I was in the presence of something that is much more divine, on a grander scale. And with that said, it's equal with me as well. There's a mutual respect and a mutual idea of how I can move forward in this, and that is, this cannot be built on more murder, more mayhem, more of all that stuff. If we're going to build, because would you agree that this is a foundation that sort of we're building as a society right now?
Yeah, I agree with you. Only that is one part is missing, that you cannot develop a healthy future without a healthy plan for the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, disposing of the past is much more effective if you know what plan you are. And I'm saying that if you allow yourself intellectually, at least mentally, to allow yourself to prolong your life another 5,000 years, you will do yourself great service, because in 5,000 years time, you can allow yourself to also project evolution. You cannot do it with a 70 or 80 or 100 years period that you are given.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in that creation, or in that intention, that is part of me creating anything. And we spoke about a guy, Michael Beckwith, he's a minister for Center for Spiritual Living in Los Angeles. He spoke one day, and he did a TED Talk that I would encourage anyone to go look at. It's very powerful. It's very inspiring. And he speaks of this this thing that is like we can step back from. Like I can step back and watch my mind. I can step back and see that I'm mad in some situations, and then I can also step back and see that I'm feeling joy, or whatever the case may be. So it's to stepping back from any situation is giving one the opportunity to reflect on it, and reflection is huge in where we're going, because I think, like you said, the past and what we have learned, it's really a big part of that is just unlearning that, or forgetting. I don't know if we could ever forget it, sort of practicing it out, because it's the very thing that we continue to write in this experience for ourselves, is the pain that I may feel from being molested, or knowing a family member that's molested, like the pain that comes from the emotional pain that comes from these thoughts that can also seem very painful, that are showing up as emotions. In that, I can continue to create the very thing that I don't want to see, or the saying goes, what we resist, it persists in our life. It is something, if we're resisting it, it will continuously show up, because we're giving it that energy to show up. So whereas in now looking at it just a little bit differently every day, I think that, any being can wake up to this as being a reality. And I think all beings have to, because just because I know it is a reality in my own experience, it doesn't tell someone it's a reality in theirs. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to pose the question to them. Like, what is going on in your reality? And why is that? What are the results of your life? What do you say you want in life, or from life? Or what do you say you want to give to life? And then it's a matter of integrity for me to continuously walk in that, because in any given moment, something can draw me away from in here, and I can very quickly end up with a beer in my hand. I can very quickly end up just the numerous things that can happen to me. And they're only happening because I'm not open to receiving what this individual is saying. So I don't have to agree with it. To allow it to be a possibility, I think is what we're moving forward in, because it's, like you said, is not about competition. I feel it's about cooperation. And in order to cooperate, we have to be able to communicate. In order to do that, me and you get on a computer and talk. So I can tell you how much of a benefit it has been to me. And so that is communication in itself. And I see it as being key in this evolution of sorts that we're going through. And just to cut, any thoughts on that?
Okay, I will catch on one point that you said, that you are resenting it, and what you reject is continuous. But if you have suffered something, or you have some experience that you reject, what happens is you rejected it to a point where you could also develop an oversight, where your oversight includes the whole area of child abuse, say, yeah? So is the second level after you resented it, you developed a field of knowledge which helps you to handle this, and you may become somebody that helps other children. But when you go further and see it from a yet higher perspective, or more your perspective grows, what happens is you have detached so much from your initial experience that what happens is that when you come back to experience it, you will be able to detach from it, and you experience it, and detach from it when you experience it. You cannot cut it off your memory, but you can relate to it in a way that can help you then to grow bigger, grow more effective in the new path, a new idea for humanity, that is more healthy. So it's not that what you resist persist. What you resist eventually, leaves you alone to develop, and then you can visit it and see how you were, say, at the age of 8 or the age of 9 when it happened to you, and reverse to this nowness, and see this as a phenomena that still occurs in your mind, but you can then drop it and continue with what you do without interference. It will not interfere you in the same way. So this perspective, in fact, is heightening your consciousness. The thing is, with heightening your consciousness, is the traditional spiritual people, they were eluding themselves to higher consciousness in a direct sense, that they will become shiny and lightful and whatever, and they will get rid of all these troubles. But in fact, rising your consciousness step by step is seeing everything in a perspective, and by this seeing the perspective, you have risen up to a perspective. You just rise higher and higher. So when you're looking back, you peel off some of your parts, and you become 8 years old. Just a simple Dave that you were 6 years old, myself, your son, I was 6 years old also. So I can recover the sensation, but I'm not there anymore. I can be that for a certain minute if I allow myself that's comfortable, because I lived that time and I feel comfortable. So it's also healthy for me to retrieve those memories,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not so frightening to play with these conscious elements, to come backwards and forward in time, and to reevaluate it and look at it from a perspective of a person that has another 5,000 years to fix it. Now, when you have another 5,000 years to fix it, you think of ways to fix it. And that's the only perspective that will give you enough time to make an applicable plan. You cannot fix all the world in 5 or 10 years, but you can do it in 500 years.
Yeah.
So this is the right perspective that I'm talking about. And maybe it sounds to people imaginary because they don't believe that they can live so long. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And if they
How
don't believe
could it be? So I say one thing to people that don't believe that they can live 5,000 years. You can believe it if you can think this way. If you can think this way, then it is applicable. If you allow your mind to think of it, you ask your heart, do you agree? Do your heart, this dear heart, do you agree to live another 500 years? You see what your heart answers. Is it possible for you to stay and to persist and to develop and to apply all this, healing of this planet? Because it can take a longer time and much more much more devotion than we can do with a projection of another, I don't know how much.
No, I totally agree, brother. It's a pleasure to have you on here. A lot of the ideas that you're putting across, I come to find they're truths in my life. Before I'm able to create anything, which I've come to find in my own experience, that I am, like when I said this to you before, when I look around in this room, everything in this room, and I have a window that I get to look out at too, but everything in this room started with an idea. And so when I started to think about that, I said, wow, look how much my thinking patterns go into creating the life that I'm living right this very second, when a lot of it can be subconscious and I don't even know that it's going on. But then if I'll stay open to the idea that it's even a possibility, that's when the stuff starts to happen. Because if one doesn't believe that they can remove, if one doesn't believe that addiction, they can be free of this thing, then they will never be free of the thing until they first have the idea that it's possible. If one doesn't believe they can own a business, they will never own a business until that idea becomes a possibility. And
Right.
all it is simply gives hope. And that
Yeah.
hope provides enough to create,
Yeah, so I tell you what, I was born with a built-in career. Yeah, I remember my past life. I arrived to success. I'm not looking for success anymore. I arrived to the top of success possible. Not
Yeah.
in this life, and I don't need more of this. But
Right.
what I'm saying is that looking at your career, at your personal career, where you see where your career ends because it doesn't take you to your highest ideal. Your career, if you're successful, you force you into involvement with art dealers or all kind of businesses, music industry, politics, whatever field of action that you want to join. You find that it is what called the fourth dimension. It will lead you to in a loop, and you will never get to where you want. So
Right.
eventually, when you drop this, that's where you start to be able to imagine a much more expensive field of action, because now the old field was dismissed, and you don't have a life and you don't have a career to you don't have all this. You still have your virtue, but then when you look at the greater career that you want for yourself, becomes a question who you are and where you are and what you are part of in truth, what you are, and you upgrade to a field where you are part of a much greater movement of many people. Before there was the art dealer, was the music industry agent that came to you and signed you on a piece of paper and enslaved you to the system in this way or another. So you give up all your beliefs in your contracts with the system, with the beliefs that they have in the what you signed in the past, everything that you sign in as a personal individual, the making a career, all this is dismissed. And now you are alive here and you're capable to do all the things, and you do whatever is possible for you at the moment. Right. Talk.
Yeah. No, it's so it's actually it's this process is the most important part of it is done. It's the inner work. It's for me to start playing with these ideas, and by playing with these ideas, I'm opening myself up for the change that I say that I want in my life, or for whatever it is that I say that I want. For me, it's when I ask, what do you want in life? I want a world that works for everyone. I don't think I've ever lived in that world. It's possible that I have. And with that said, in this experience, that is not my experience. And so I would like to see a world that literally works for everyone. That if you want to choose a religion, you choose it, and that we have this freedom. And I think they're used in so many foul ways to pollute, meaning what we spoke about earlier with the pastors and these teachers from these religions. Because I experienced that at a young age, this is written into this program. And until I can start to see, first and foremost, until I can acknowledge, and I had to do it at 32 years old, a 32-year-old man, which I feel I'm honored, because there's a lot of people I see in this world that haven't woke up to any of this stuff, that it's just very superficial. There's no judgment towards the individual, more love. But what I was, I guess in a nutshell, is just saying that start to actually play with the idea of what one says they want. And I'm not even necessarily speaking about a job or a career where it works in all areas of life, but whatever it is that you say you want, first ask, is this going to hurt? Is this hurting people? Meaning physically. So I'm talking about stuff like, okay, if I sit here and think that, I think it might be okay to sleep with a 4 and 6-year-old child. And then I simply ask the question, is this going to benefit the child? And there's an overwhelming yell in my head that goes, absolutely not. And so then I know that that's not something that I'm going to move forward with. Whereas there is this child that I'm speaking of, this happens to him at a young age. He's not taught any tools how to release any of this, how to walk through it. Most of the time he's taught to hush up and don't speak about it. And so for this child to move forward, this child is going to have to go from a place of this horrible thing happening to them, which I say horrible because I'm sitting here on the outside looking at what's going on, and it looks like it's horrible. So I say horrible. So this child has the tools, or will have the tools, to get past this thing, which is it's simply sit there. It was bestowed upon them, and I don't think that it was an accident that this happened. This was bestowed upon them for. I don't want to take away the responsibility of us as adults to protect children, or the responsibility of us as adults to see how this sexual thing is pushed in our world and it's used as a tool. And so as an adult, a responsible adult, I myself see it that that's not okay. It's not okay to do that. And I don't think it's fair to the youth of our world to have to be subjected to this type of treatment. And with that said, this child now has something that they're walking into the world with that can very easily turn them into the very individual that did this to them. If we as adults don't take responsibility and start going, okay, how are we going to heal from this? How do we benefit these children to heal from this first and foremost? And I think that is really, it's opening our arms and going, hey, when the time is right for you, we're here and let's talk about it. Because it really, for me to get through addiction or get through alcoholism or any of the stuff that I felt in my time was holding me back, where I now find as a springboard that's springing me forward only when I acknowledge it. And so for me to sit here, what I'm saying to anybody, any children or anybody that's it happened to, because there are 60, 70, 80-year-old people that are victims of this thing until they're not no more. And it is a choice only when it becomes a reality that it is a choice. And so I sit and say to anybody who's been affected in this way that there are people around you, and there are people in this world that have experienced that as well, and their arms are open and ready to be there for you to walk through this with you. And so just know that there's people that care, and there's people around you that regardless if this was a parent, there's people around you, many different people around you, hopefully, that can understand to a degree what you went through. Just start seeking out inside. When I say seeking out, I mean looking inside yourself. Know that there is nothing wrong with you, and that there is a possibility of growth that can come from this, and know that you are loved. And what you are going through, it is being seen. People are waking up to it. And I just encourage you to reach out when that time is right for you, because what you have now is a gift that a lot of people don't have, and that is the actual thing that happened to you. And I know that you might not see it as a gift. I didn't see it as a gift when it happened to me. And with that said, it's one of the greatest gifts now, because I have acknowledged that it showed up. It showed up in my life. I went through it. I went through forgiveness. I went through all these tools that I was given, and I now see it as a gift because I can sit here and say this to whoever's on the other side of this. And so I just ultimately, with that, I want you to know that you are not a weird, something wrong with you. Don't let anybody trick you into believing there's something wrong with you. I want to open your heart to the idea that actually it was something that was given to you that may have hurt then. When you accept it as a gift that it is, then you can give that gift back to the very society that bestowed this upon you. And that gift is your experience and how you walk through it. So ultimately, I just want to say that you're loved, and there's people that care about you and always know about that, and always know that. So I rambled a little bit, and I think that what I said, it felt very, it was the truth as I know it. So I guess ultimately, you're cared about, and there are people awake to it, and we're just going to continue to walk into this. It's unraveling as it may. Who knows what it looks like? I just know that these victims are these children. They are seen. You are seen. Like, we are seeing it finally now, where it was, I mean, and people have been seeing it for a long time. It's just so big that it looks, I mean, it can take the hope out of any situation. And then with that said, though, it's really leaving because the mind cannot see a possibility of walking through it. And so I encourage you to look out and start to see the possibilities, because you are a gift to this world once you see it. And so, yeah, that's what I really have to say about that. You know, I get lost in it, so it's safe for me to step back.
I'm not a traditional. I'm a radical. So I don't believe the system can help you, and I don't believe anybody around you can help you. I don't believe that loving you enough it can help you. I believe in one thing, that is a new society. And what I want to tell you, that this new society already exists. So people who are able to project a healing procedure, whatever healing procedure they choose to, along say another 1,000 to 5,000 years, as long as they think needed for them to heal this, you know, they must project this plan to themselves, a vague plan, a general plan, how the intention that they believe in, the intention that can be healed. All your good intention must be directed to a future plan that is not in our sight yet. For those who are not in, it's not in their sight. But you must know that there are many people here that this huge plan to heal the humanity is in their sight. It's in their sight. So when you drop out of all this local healing, of all the traditional healing, on all the, you know, about love, it's fine. There's nothing, it's great to love each other and so on. But what we're going to experience, I think, is this reorganizing of the whole society, this whole world is going to be in chaos, and all the connection that you have will be loosened to where, and all the communication will be better, and the transportation will be better. Everything will be better, so that you can apply a plan to look for the healing for yourself, you know, in a new way. And you must know that there are people there who are already practicing it, who are already there, you know. So when you rise to this belief that it can be healed, and you start to draw a plan, whatever, you take a piece of paper, you make one line, you make another one, you make a flower, you know, of progressing, of releasing. If you do this plan, it's beneficial, it's contributive. In whatever way that you can play with the elements in your house, you can grow a plant, take everything that you do with a perspective of another year, and how much you will learn about these plants. In another time, you will have, in about 50 years, you can say you will have a greenhouse so big, and you will have, you meet these people or that people. It will take you time to find the people who live in the new realms, where everything is evolving slowly in their natural pace, like they should have from the start. And you and children and everybody will be re-educated about your cellular behavior, so they can retrieve all the energy that they lost through this abuse, because everybody has been abused here. It's not only the one that got the thing on their head. Everybody is being abused, and everybody suffers this here because of this abuse. So the new solution is to a projection, a radical projection. Allow yourself to radically project, you know, a plan that is never ending for you, not only to heal, but after you healed, you know. Allow yourself a mental projection. If somebody is capable of doing this, this is the best way to drop your past convictions, all these religions that never worked, all this government, everything here, the education, even your best belief in this society must be dropped. The whole society, in fact, is elusive, is a mental material. The idea of society must be dropped away. You just behave, you are in a society, and you act within the society, and you act according to your best, to how much love you have. You act upon your love, you just express your love, you do things, not limit ourselves.
And for anybody who's just joining, I would just like to say, my brother, he is living in Israel currently. He has lived in the United States for a number of years. I'm not sure if he wants to share. Would you want to share, if you would share any of the websites? He's a fabulous painter, and has been for a long time, with some very beautiful work. When I went on the website and I looked at some of it, you know, with some of the stuff, painting and getting to experience a painting is very new to me. I was never brought up with that, paintings being in my life, or any type of art being in my life in a way. And so I just, it was a blessing to go on to your website and see some of the work that he has done. And I encourage, if he wants to give it out, we haven't talked about this prior, but if he wants to give it out, just to type it in the chat room. And then I encourage anyone to go look at it, because you know, where you're speaking from is your experience that you have lived, and just in your paintings alone, they speak volumes, where I've never been able to see art like that, quite like that. I got to see it. I got to see it in some of your stuff, and it was just a great experience for me. So I encourage anyone, if you want to give out the information to where your art is, and I think it's a benefit for.
I tell you what, I will tell you with some, how you call it, with some words before it, that I've been a painter. I practice the painting of spiritual evolution. That was my main painting, and I'm just send a link here.
And then so expound upon that. So the painting, which you've come to understand in your own experience, that it has been with you for a very, very long time. And so
but I belong to the old school. So what I painted was portraits, landscapes. I was negotiating with reality from a point of oneness consciousness. That is where I'm painting. I don't exist. I just copy the reality and I show you the reality. In the
Yeah.
latest paintings that you find there, you see spheres. You started to work with spheres since alien. I was encountered by aliens a few times, and each time that they encountered me, not all the time, but many times, they showed me spheres. So in this web presentation of painting, I'm showing spheres. But I want to say that I started from traditional old discipline school, the old schools. Yeah,
And
so
so that was in a way, it was the spiritual evolution that you spoke of. The paintings evolved as you did. So was it a matter of taking what you have learned and really dropping that and staying open to this thing flowing through you, or was it something else that was learned?
I tell you what, when I was about 27, a portal opened to me. That means I can teach this portal how it works. It works where you don't rub off your previous painting. You have an idea, and then on top of it, or side of it, you paint another one on top of it. Say you painted it one on top of the other without rubbing the previous layer. So you have layers. So the sense of portal is created when you paint or when you do anything about the same subject, and you don't forget the previous pass that you make. You make another, and then in painting, it's possible to create something now and to take distance from it, look at it again, understand it in a different way, and come back to the canvas and paint another layer on top of it without rubbing off the previous ones. Now,
Right.
no, okay. So this is the old school. When you arrive to learning passages, like in music, you have passages in music. Somebody who learned music knows that in music there's a lot of structural ideas that come into when you are a composer. You are aware of openings, of endings, of punctuation, where you put the emphasis and where you don't, how you play this. Every piece can be played in different way. So this is the old school. The old school arrived to where you can play with all the elements and relate them and evolve from which one to another. And by just changing from one perspective or another, you create a passage, a portal which by a viewer see it, and he will see a passage through which he can go inside himself, because what he takes from the work is not what I see, is what he sees. What you see in a work that is presenting a portal is what you see within yourself. You will develop a sense of portal within yourself, So when I do the spheres that I make were gifted to me by extraterrestrials. They went far beyond that. They arrived to a level where they believe that everything that they create in a sphere. So they present artwork that look like spheres. They're round and they're perfect. And all the action that happens in a picture that has many passages into it, many portals inside this picture, yeah, it can present it in a way like a sphere. So I took the extraterrestrial idea, which they show me once. The first time I saw sphere was in near Joshua Tree. I lived in Joshua Tree about 3 years. So
Let me, I want to, because this is something, the reason I want to interject right here is because I feel like this is something that we're going to very quickly, I say very quickly, this has been millions of years, but so your idea, when you have these experiences of meeting or having the experience of another being coming into your experience, because there's a lot of individuals, and the reason I bring it up is because, Kitty, what you just spoke about. So we have these extraterrestrial beings, and then there are some that believe that these extraterrestrial beings are in other words, are demons to them. And so I would just like you to expound on, excuse me, what your experience was. Not necessarily go into detail, but overall, when you experienced these beings who were intelligent, was it an experience that you can say was more from a space of, and I'll just use these words, love, or a space of hatred and entrapment? Were they attempting to help guide you into something bigger, or were they attempting to help guide you into some nastiness? Because there's a lot of people that believe that, I think this thing that are going on with extraterrestrials, we are going to see very quickly in this world that they are a reality. And I don't necessarily believe that they come to hurt me. More along the lines of, there are ones that are here to actually be a benefit to us and the earth in the transition that we're going through. So just share a little bit about that, and that'd be awesome.
So I said the law of attraction works also in this area, where you have a technical society that thrives and try to develop and compete on technical things. You have a defense system that is based on technical things. So what happens is you attract the extraterrestrial who will relate to the material that you are processing anyway. For me, it doesn't apply because I don't belong in this culture. What applies to me is extraterrestrial. I can tell everybody that I was in Joshua Tree, and I was in Joshua Tree in a certain time. I lived just in front of a army base that is called 29 Palms. Maybe you know it. It's area of desert near Joshua Tree. And the base, extraterrestrial base, there is an extraterrestrial base in Palm and 29 Palms. Anyway, so there's a lot of activity of extraterrestrial. But when I lived in this house, that was a solitary house, just in front of Dry Lake. If you look at the map, Dry Lake in Joshua Tree is a street, Dry Lake. And their presence, they were there for about 6 months. They had something that I could notice, that was a pyramid of light that was hanging in the air. On my way home, I was driving a Chevy van. I had a Chevy van, a very beautiful car that I bought in New York 7 years earlier, with which I traveled the United States. I was also in Joshua Tree with it. And we were living in this far remote place. So I was driving with the van, and every time I drove from Joshua Tree to where I live, it's like a few miles drive, I saw this pyramid hanging. It's a light pyramid that was hanging on the way home. And I asked my friend Noah, that you talked with before, and we also watched it again and again. Every time we passed, we saw it hanging there. So one day that we were in the house, we saw the pyramid. It was, I noticed a light that was on the hill on the right side of me. That was a very bright light. It was not in the place. It was hanging in the air. It was hovering. And I called my friend. I said, let's go. They are coming. So it took 2 days, actually. It's an encounter that lasted 2 days, 2 days, one after the other. And I can't believe it that I remember it so fluent, because it looks like a one scene, one occasion, one performance. But anyway, the pyramid was floating on the hillside. The sun was just setting, and the pyramid was floating over the hill like a pajama. If you take a pajama and you allow pajama to flow in the wind, so the pyramid was floating like a pajama. And the center of the pyramid, which is made of bright light, there was a ball of light, of blue light, that if you looked at it, you look to distances that you cannot see. There was a blue eye in the middle of this floating pajama that was floating. It was floating slowly over the hillside. It took it a long time to float. It was floating very slowly, as if it's preparing you. And I'm saying now it's an emotional or spiritual excitement that follows, when you looked at it, and we both were sitting on the terrace and looking at it, and it was floating until it got to the edge of the mountain on the right side, and then from it came three, like when you have a child, it coming with this from your mother, you're coming with a kind of straw, with kind of a thread that comes out of your body, of your mother body. So the same here, there were three lines that coming out of this pyramid, and they're coming down to just across the dry lake in face of the Copper Mountains, what's called Copper Mountain, that is the one side of the Palm 1929 Palm, where the army base is, the Navy base, whatever, Air Force, and they just laid down, they landed on the surface, on the dry lake, far end next to the hills, and they arrived like this, and they, like the line came, and there was a ball created, a sphere created, and then created, and then another one created, another three different spheres. I look at the first one that arrived, I concentrated on it, and then came the other one, I concentrated on the next one, the memory of the first one disappeared, and then it moved to another one, and the first two disappeared. That teach you that when you look at something completely concentrated, you don't remember anything that happened before.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I painted them, eventually I tried to retrieve all of three of them, which I didn't have much memory of them, other than, a certain very strong emotional and visual impression, which when I looked at them, in retrospect, I looked at this, and it took me maybe 3-4 years to dare to come to this subject, because as a painter it was very difficult to paint, because this three sphere, there was action inside them, there were colors that go in, and evolution of color within a sphere.
Yeah.
So this evolution of color within a sphere was different, was distinct for each one of them. Each of them had a different action, and what I learned from it was a lot. First of all, that they're creating sphere, and second, that if you have three sphere, one by the other, each of them is a completely individual, distinct, that you cannot compare it to the other. You cannot compare them, you cannot put them together, really. Everybody is individual to a point that this is a screaming point of individuality. They are so individual, each one that came there, that presented themselves. And they were standing there for a long while, they allowed them to sit. And it's not only that they were visual, they also conveyed a sense of taste. Like, if I could give an example, like you have mayonnaise, you have a mayonnaise, you have ice cream and a certain kind that you like. So when you look at this mayonnaise or look at this ice cream, you can feel it. It tastes like something. But here, the taste was foreign. That taught me also the sense of taste that this extraterrestrial have. They present with the sense of taste of colors through colors. And what I relate this UFO phenomena to, that was my understanding, my belief was, because I was making a certain meditation at the time that I received from, I think, Sirius. So I believe that this all phenomena belong to Andromeda, and the Sirius is part of the Andromeda constellation, at least in culture-wise. They are the main star in the sky, the Sirius. So the Syrians were giving us this phenomena, in order for what? What did they want us to grow like? What did they want to teach us? Whatever we can capture out of it, and they knew that I cannot capture much of it, because it was completely new to me. What I could eventually is gather a lot of sense of their taste, their shape, the way they present themselves. Yeah. And the more I looked at it deeply, the more I started to apply it to my own discipline of painting. I now look at the picture that I make. All of them, or most of them, are spheres, and I looked at them and put inside them my material, copying the nature of movement and the intensity that I saw in their work. I copy into my work. That is my best study so far from them, is copying into the way that they taste, their shape, their movement inside of a sphere. So now I take the old teaching, and I like, for example, I am very experienced with abstract painting, where abstract painting is creating layer upon layer of different stuff, that doesn't make a physical sense, but it makes a sense of a sphere, that in the sphere there's so many things that are moving. So this movement is the most important lesson that I had from them so far, and I'm applying it now to painting that I make. Like I make the New Earth painting. It was in 1911, so I was not working in this discipline, in this new discipline. I gave it as a present to a woman that gave us a house for 1 year in Los Angeles as a payment, so I don't have it. But from then, since now, my whole attitude to painting changed to that energy, copying into what they showed me, and I feel that I learn about them a lot more than if I look at the spaceship that is somebody took and with a camera floating in the sky. I'm much less interested in that, although I can see those as well, and they can excite me to a level. But the true teaching is in in the material, in the culture that they can share with me. So so that's what I can say about.
What would you say, or in short, what would you say to anyone out there that what would you say experience overall that, I feel like things are coming together in a way that we are going to know a lot more of the stuff that's really been going on behind the scenes. And so what would you say to people as far as the possibilities of any type of encounter with a being that does not look like them on the outside, and maybe doesn't even, maybe has no similar characteristics? What would you say to that individual that maybe has some reservations about the intention or the reason that the encounter might even be happening? So what I'm trying to do is I'm seeing a plan being set up to get us to see these beings as being someone that is here to hurt us, where there may be certain types of these beings that are and that have been hurting us for a long time. And then with that said, that from my journey with this extraterrestrial idea, I see it as being a very, very real thing in my experience. And that is, I would say, go explore it yourself and just start to, like, some of the stuff that I see. I'll mention a channel real quick, and this is Secure Team 10. The guy has an awesome channel that really puts a lot of work into his channel, and he's not a guy that I've found in my experience that shows stuff that is he does a lot of work. And so a lot of stuff that I've seen on there.
Dave, I'm obliged. Let me say something to answer for the question about encounter.
Yeah.
And try to have people's minds maybe more ready and more in tune.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the best thing to encounter with anybody at all is to learn about them. If you meet a friend, or a woman or everybody, it's better to know a lot about them in advance or learn from them, So the first thing the good aliens do, they don't infiltrate, they don't abuse you, they don't come into your field of consciousness before you actually invited them. Yeah, and when they come according to their own plan, because you have to realize that those beings are much more prepared, and they work with a plan. So you can meditate as much as you want, still it's in their hands to appear in front of you, to come to meet you, or they delay it, you know. So nobody is coming to your field of consciousness. What they're doing is, and people must stop being afraid of an alien landing on the roof before they really invited them, and before they give you enough information about them. And information means your cellular level must be upgraded.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not enough that you know that the Palladians look like this and they have this or that idea. You know, you have to really go deep into the understanding of them. The same applies to any plant, any animal that you want to take care of. You know, you want to learn what they experienced before you, what with this oversight about this plant, so you know, and then try it, and then come to where you can grow these nice plants that I have here. I have beautiful plants here, and and they are, by the way, encouraged by plasma technology. I built plasma technology, magravs and stuff like that, and so this helpful. I'm building them now for 2 years. I was bored, so I started to build them. But generally, to encounter aliens, basis is you must block every attempt or in question or put barriers beforehand. Say you don't accept any, because you live in a society that is very common to infiltrate and to, you know, disturb people while they are busy with other things. So this is not allowed. You don't allow it, and it's your power to not allow it. So
Absolutely.
you know, you don't allow the Draco reptilians and all these minions to approach you, and then they can approach you, what call people with temporal. They call temporal. They have machines. The Black Army. They have machines by which they can create themselves in a temporal, where they can transform themselves to another location and do whatever. So you must stop the temporals, that they cannot come into your area. The temporals are dark. The Draco reptilians, they are dark. They don't show themselves. They cannot show themselves to you. They can only show yourself through creating imagery that they won't be pleasant at all. So the minute you're waiting to encounter good aliens like Palladians or Andromedas or Syrians or Arcturians, and everybody that is interested, sound interesting, be interested in what they do, and start to learn, hear what they have to say, their way of thinking, what they present, what is the way that they present themselves, you know, and also have radical thought about them. Don't take them, you know, as ready thing. Just have your cellular body accustomed to it, you know, accept it, you know, look at it, you know, and they will not come to you before they ask you to come. Nobody comes to you in this civilized cosmos before they gave you enough information and know that you are prepared and they try you, you know.
And you know, I'm gonna jump off here, but I want to give you the opportunity to just, you know, speak whatever comes from your heart and whatever you're called to say. You know, I bring this type of stuff up because in my experience, it tells me that we as human beings are going to we're going to start finding out a lot of information, and a lot of this information is very true and very real in its own sense of being that. Only so I guess in essence, you know, you were saying to stay open to these ideas of these beings being here, and because for me, the fear, they're using this as a tactic to create more fear. And not only that, but when this stuff does start to take place to where everybody in this world that we live in can see it now because it's happening in front of their face. I'm attempting to provide a space that that we will stay open to these ideas. They are evolved greater than we, and we have many things to learn. I've learned many of my lessons from my children. And so just because I stay open to that idea, that's where a lot of great lessons come. And there are a wide range of lessons, from patience to, many of the other numerous ones. None of them coming to mind right now, but just in a closing, brother, I want to thank you for coming on.
I just want to say, whatever aliens connected to the army, to the SSP in the United States, you don't connect with them.
Yeah.
They've been attracted for very low reasons, and you can follow Corey Good and all of them. They're very excited about it, but don't go this way. These are bad aliens. All you have in the United States that connected to the military in the United States, they are low mechanical AI machines, and they're minions,
Yeah.
So you cut it before it started. You don't accept anything to yourself personally from what you receive from the media from the United States about aliens, because you are 5% at the maximum of the civilization of Earth. You are 5%, and the 95% of the Earth experience other aliens. They don't experience the same aliens, and they develop in different way.
Yeah,
so if you want to develop with the majority of humanity, you don't follow the American example of buying, dealing with equipment and human bodies and all this. All this is low, is not accepted. You don't relate to these aliens. You close the door. You don't let yourself attracted to this shit.
Yeah.
So you have to know it. I'm not an American. I'm telling you from the East. I'm Eastern person. I was born in Eastern culture. I'm my heritage, you call it, is Eastern. So I'm telling you from perspective of a non-American that loves America, that loves America and care for Americans. And I have many friends in America. So I always contribute to them. This Eastern perspective where most of the world don't belong to this club. So you have to remember it, that you don't have to abide by what they project onto you from these disclosure programs. Take it moderation,
Absolutely. I want to thank you for being here. I see many more talks being had. I want to thank everyone who joined on YouTube and all the input. For anything that I missed, which was probably a whole bunch, I'll get around to it. I'm just learning this how to go live, and it's very challenging to focus on, because I'm here to learn from each of you out there. Like everybody on here, I'm learning something from. I'm taking something in, and I can feel that I continue to grow that way, to just stay open to ideas and possibilities. And just because this media machine and this social structure we've been living under for a long time, just because we've been living under this a long time doesn't mean that we're going to stay living under it, because we are evolving as a species. I'm very excited to where we're going. And with that said, I will remain right here in this moment, and I will embrace this moment, because this is really the moment that I have to enjoy. And then it's this moment, and it's this moment. And so I just want to thank everybody for joining, all the input that was put in, and then I encourage you to check out my brother's channel. Will you just speak that real quickly? I think it's easy to get to. I think you're in the chat there, so I think you can get to it. So if not, reach out to me and I can connect you, and just encourage you to start reaching out to individuals that may be calling to you, what they're talking about, because there's a lot of stuff that's being talked about nowadays that can be very confusing, and it doesn't have to be confusing. Like, for us to just slow down, take a deep breath, and start to play with the possibilities that this thing right here is so much bigger than what we were led to believe. And that alone, I believe, can open us up to beautiful experiences to where we can grow. So I want to thank you for being on, brother, and I'll leave you with the last word. And and thank you. Thank you once again for being on. It's always a pleasure to sit and speak with you, and I look forward to the next one. Until then, what is the last word you'd like to leave with everybody?
Just to thank you, Dave, very much for inviting me and introducing me to your friends.
Absolutely, brother.
And,
Absolutely.
yeah, and also to say that every conversation, every idea of a metaphor, we can expand more. So I'm looking forward to do it again.
Yeah, reach out if you have any questions. You know, the beautiful. He's got 150 names. I think there's 150 labels that are attached to this guy. So I may call him something different every time, and it's not to say that none of them are the right name, because he's a very interesting, beautiful being that the care for humanity and life, as I know it, it's there. I can feel it. I can sense it. And so I encourage you to reach out and connect with him or anyone else that is calling to you, or there's something there. I didn't know you from anyone. And I watched one video, and there was something that was very intriguing about it, what you were saying. And then I continued to watch, and then finally it was about a month ago that I reached out, and then we connected. And I can say that for being halfway across this place that we live and being so many miles away, the connection that I feel, not to say the ideas are all the same, I'm open to all of them, but the connection that I feel as we speak about these ideas, I think that's where so much of the beauty lies in life, and in that connection. And just stay open to the ideas that people have. Stay open to the power that you truly are, the power that you hold, the power that you are within inside of yourself, and know that anything that says that you're anything less than it has been put into your life for a reason. And I think we're walking out of that now. So know that you are a very powerful being that has gifts, talents, abilities, and I encourage you to continue on them with whatever they are, because this thing, I'll tell you what, it's big, and it involves a lot of different abilities and gifts and talents that we all possess, and that we can cultivate. A lot of them healing, a lot of them are just ideas now. But if you start to play with them, they start to become more than an idea, and they start to become actually something that is plausible in my experience. So I want to thank you for being on, brother, and we'll stay on here after I get off and just speak for a second. But thank you everyone for joining. Know that you're creating your day. So go into the rest of your day, and hopefully, you take something from this that benefits you, and let's grow together. So I encourage everyone, continue to open up, expand inside, and that'll allow this to expand. So thank you everyone for joining, and see you soon. Bye for now.